Hey guys, Henry here, and today we're going to be talking about the new movie, Buddy Games. Yeah, no sugarcoating it, this movie is absolute garbage. And I watched it so you don't have to. This movie came from the mind of Josh Duhamel. He co-wrote it, he directed it, he produced it, and he stars in it. Yeah, I mean, all these credits and it's already starting to look a little bit like a student film. And I'm guessing that you all recognize Josh Duhamel from his signature role as the tough soldier guy in the Transformers series, or as Fergie's ex-husband. So when I watched the trailer, I got Adam Sandler grown-up vibes. You've got a bunch of best mates just mucking around together, reminiscing about the glory days. And while Grown Ups is not an amazing film, it's still a film that you can sort of have some fun with. Whereas this film just seems to get infatuated with completely the wrong things and gets stuck in the mud a lot. And by stuck in the mud, I mean it seems to just have this fascination with dick and testicle jokes. And essentially this whole movie is just one big joke about balls. Before we continue with the video and explaining what happens in Buddy Games, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. All of that support really helps this channel grow. And as always, with these types of videos, there will be spoilers ahead, but I'm 100% sure you aren't really worried about that. So the central premise of this movie is that there are a group of friends who compete in the ultimate macho man, alpha dog, big dick competition every year to work out who they want to crown as the champ. Essentially the biggest jackass of the group. And within this group of friends, you've got Bob, the Bob father, played by Josh Duhamel, the creator of the games, and clearly the cool guy and the leader of the crew. Then you've got Sheldon, and his nickname is Shelly, played by Dan Bakkedahl, the 6-time winner of the Buddy Games, and somehow this dude is the alpha male of the bunch. Just visually, it doesn't look like this guy would be the guy winning these types of competitions, but I mean, he is. You've then got Bender, played by Swardson. He's sort of the loser of the crew. You've got Durfee, played by Dax Shepard, one of the meeker ones of the bunch, just trying to make it in Hollywood. He's living in LA, but he hasn't found his big break yet. Then you've got Doc, played by Dillon from Entourage. Yeah, even after watching the entire movie, I'm actually not too sure what his character is, other than just another jackass. Then we've got Zane, played by James Roday, and he gets the role of the flamboyant and in denial of his sexuality guy. He's constantly involved in gay sexual innuendos, and those jokes just don't land at all. So the movie starts with Shelly winning his 6th buddy game in a row by shooting Bender excessively with paint gun bullets, and he celebrates by being a complete asshole to Bender, and also by rubbing his nuts on a poor guy's face while he's passed out drunk. And Shelly boasts while having his nuts on this guy's face that he hasn't had a shower for 3 days. So this guy Mark, this innocent guy who's just passed out, he gets some balls on his forehead for no reason, just because he's friends with these douchebags. Anyway, Mark doesn't appear for the rest of the film, so I guess he's made the correct life choices to sort of distance himself from this group. Bender, who's really butthurt about losing and Shelly's constant bullying, is out to get revenge, and he's egged on by Shelly's wife to shoot Shelly with a paint gun bullet, and he goes ahead and takes a shot at Shelly while he's teabagging Mark, and the paint gun bullet hits him right in the nuts. We then skip 5 years ahead, and we see Bob and his girlfriend Tiffany, played by Olivia Munn, who are at lunch with Bob's parents, and Bob gets a call from Shelly's mum, who asks him to come to the rehab where Shelly's been staying. Shelly's mum explains that Shelly's wife has left him and he's in a very dark place and is suicidal, and she begs Bob to start back up the buddy games so that Shelly can have something to live for. Bob then sees Shelly and he looks like an absolute wreck, and Shelly explains that day 5 years ago, when he got shot in the nuts with a paint gun bullet, he actually lost a testicle. And then, while at hospital, he lost the other one. And now he's lost the pair and is essentially ballless. And I think it's pretty amazing that these guys consider themselves best mates after having not talked to each other at all for 5 years, and for Bob to not know what happened to Shelly after getting shot in the nuts, and I guess the only reason they're talking now is because Shelly's mum made them. Bob, feeling terrible and wanting to be an empathetic friend, tells Shelly that he's having a rough time too and that his business is failing and he's living in a 1-bedroom apartment. And Bob tells him that he'll start the buddy games back up to boost their morale, but Shelly mandates that Bender cannot be invited and Bob cannot tell anyone about his no testicles situation. So Bob goes out and puts the call to the other guys, and they're all in, because it seems like their lives all suck as well, and they could do with some stupid fun, I guess. Bob tells Tiffany that he plans to get the buddy games up and running again, and she's not really happy about this childish tradition of guys teabagging each other over a weekend, so she decides to leave using his helicopter, revealing that Bob is actually a baller. And we see that Bob lives in a massive house with a pool, and we see Bender has actually arrived unannounced at Bob's place in the pool, having heard about the buddy games making a comeback, and he wants in. Bob makes the excuse that this time there's going to be a $10,000 entry fee to try to dissuade Bender from attending, and Bender realizes that he wasn't invited initially because of what happened to Shelly, and Bob blurts out that Shelly actually lost both his nuts and that Bender should be a bit more sympathetic. Bender, being a dumbass and still wanting to go to the buddy games, goes out and tries to make the $10,000 in whatever way he can. He pawns off his possessions, he sells vodka on the street, and he starts prostituting himself in his mother's van. Yeah, this stuff ain't pretty, definitely not funny, and just sad, honestly. And now we get to the buddy games. Shelly's mum drops him off at the camp house where he's greeted by Bob, and Bob comes clean about doing real well for himself and that he actually sold his company off for more than $300 million. And the rest of the guys also pull up to greet Shelly, all greeting him warmly after not having seen him for 5 years. And I repeat, these guys are all best mates. But then Bender makes an appearance and he presents Shelly with vials of his semen stored in a refrigerated humidor as a show of good faith, and also exposing to the rest of the group that Shelly lost both of his testicles. How stupid do you have to be to think that this is a good idea? Not only stupid, but you have to be so insensitive to think that if your actions cause your friend to lose their testicles, giving him vials of your semen is more an insult than an apology. And this just can't be seen as an actual, genuine attempt to make good on what happened in the past. And it's just surely gotta be another shit joke by Bender. And yeah, I mean, now he's introduced vials of semen into the story, into the plot. I wanna know what's gonna happen with these vials of semen just sitting around. I'm sure you already have a pretty good guess. Obviously, Shelly's not pleased that Bob told Bender about him having no balls, and now Bob has broken Shelly's trust on 2 occasions. Shelly, put on the spot, feels pressured to accept Bender's apology, and they just move on from it. Bender then pulls out $10,000 in cash that he scrapped together for the entry fee, and Bob admits that it was all a lie to get him to not come to the buddy games. Bender, obviously mad that he basically sold his body to get this $10,000, pressures Bob into putting $150,000 up as the winner's prize, and none of the other guys complain, all not minding the opportunity to win some of Bob's money. Then the buddy games actually begin. We have the first event where they do a bunch of dumb stuff, downing corn dogs, then getting into a bubble and rolling down a hill, smashing a watermelon, running through electric eels, making their way through a mud pit, then motorcycling and dirt biking around, chugging some beer, and then doing a big water slide into the lake and needing to get enough airtime to grab the flag. Bob wins this first event, and then they've got a bunch of other random games, including some fishing thing, kayaking, and jousting. And there's a scoreboard that comes up, but it moves real quick and it's a little bit tough to tell who's winning, but who really cares? We then get to the nighttime activities when they make their way to their local pub where they take laxatives and try to pick up some ladies before they shit themselves. A completely hilarious idea. They need to get someone to buy them a drink and get a kiss from them on the dance floor before they shit their pants. Shelly struggles to get a girl, obviously showing that without balls, he's lost his touch. And honestly, it's a bit hard for me to believe that this guy had any game even before he lost his testicles. While the other boys have managed to each find a lady, they each drop off one by one, having to go and take a shit, leaving Bender the winner. We then go to the next challenge where the boys have to keep their head with a stake strapped onto it within a cage with a Komodo dragon in it. Durf and Bob immediately bow out, and then the dragon attacks Doc and Zane and begins to lick Bender, so he also quits, leaving Shelly the winner. But Shelly doesn't take his head immediately out of the cage and instead just yells at the dragon and bites the dragon's tongue. Clearly, this guy has lost his marbles in more than one way. Afterwards, Shelly offers to make a drink for the guys and makes pina coladas mixed with, you guessed it, Bender's semen. Durf, who's pursuing an acting career in LA and having a really rough time, shows the guys an ad he's made for the US military where his wife goes to war and he plays a stay-at-home dad, and they just completely rag on it. And this genuinely hurts Durf's feelings, and Zane gives the great feedback of maybe Durf should go and work with Mark Wahlberg. This part of the movie is a pretty good encapsulation of what this film is. It's really trying to pander to a certain aggressive, manly type of guy that thinks stay-at-home dads are betas, and this movie is just full of moments like this. And also, on the topic of Durf and his acting career, it's such a weird angle for this movie to take to include this element. It just seems like it's really Josh Duhamel's own criticism of Hollywood, and he's trying to, put a bit of himself and a bit of his own experience in the movie. But I don't know if he put that much thought into it, because the jokes seem pretty cheap. You've got, Durfee eating avo toast, and he's trying to get selfies with the star of the film that he's just an extra on. I don't think this part actually held any real value. Anyway, we get to the finalists, and Bob announces that the 3 finalists are himself, Bender, and Shelley, and that they'll be facing off in the finals the next day. So they all decide to get blasted that night, drinking their semen-filled pina coladas and canned beer. Shelley drinks too much and passes out on the couch. Bob initially worried he's dead, but Doc checks for a pulse and he's fine. Good job, Doc. I mean, you did something. Meanwhile, Durfee is missing, clearly needing some space after getting piled on by the guys, and the guys go looking for him and leave Bender to take care of Shelley. Durfee is just wandering in the woods and he gets attacked by something, and he seeks refuge in a tiny cabin, but he's visually attacked by a ferret, and Durf is forced to kill the ferret by strangling it on the ground. The guys find him and joke how tiny the ferret is, and that if he seriously killed it, suggesting that Durf is such a pussy because he had to kill a tiny ferret for scratching him lightly. Durf then unloads on the guys, and he says he's a failure in Hollywood and that he completely blew his most recent audition for a TV show role, and the guys start to apologize for being so brutal, but Zane, having the brilliant idea of needling Durf some more and giving him some tough love to get him to perform his audition for them, and Bob records it, and that performance is good. Well, it's better, but honestly, this whole bit was just insensitive and stupid. They bully a guy, he lashes back, and they're about to apologize, but somehow come to the conclusion that by bullying him some more, they'll push him to get over it. It's just the definition of toxic. Back at the house, Shelley abducts Bender and straps him to a tree and starts messing up his van, smashing the mirrors, smashing the windows, and crashing it, and Bender yells out that he didn't do it. And by it, he means that he didn't shoot Shelley's testicles with a paintball that day. And he reveals that it was actually Nikki, Shelley's wife, who shot him in the nuts. Shelley, all worked up now, reveals that he put Bender's jizz into their pina coladas, and everyone gets into an uproar. But Bob, being the voice of reason, calms everyone down, saying that these pranks are just what they do as a group. It's just boys being boys. And although they might be pissed in that moment, it will form everlasting memories. And now we go on to the final game. There's now an audience, including Bob's parents, as well as Bob's girlfriend Tiffany, and the challenge is basically a battle royale, with each of the guys wearing bulletproof/arrow-proof suits, and you get out if you get stuck with an arrow, and the last man standing wins it. Right off the bat, Bob gets distracted by Tiffany cheering for him, and he gets an arrow straight through the hand, the only spot which isn't covered by the arrow-proof material. And so the final is just between Bender and Shelley. Bender misses his initial shot, and Shelley has a point-blank shot at Bender. He fires it towards his face, and Bender f***ing catches it. Bender then stabs an arrow into Shelley and wins the buddy games. Tiffany rushes to Bob's side and tells him that she's glad that he did this whole buddy games thing and got it out of his system, and she whips out a massive ring and tells him it's time, and essentially tries to pressure him into proposing to her right then and there. I feel like this is really unfair to do to Tiffany's character. I mean, she wasn't trying to restrict Bob really from doing anything. She just wanted him to grow up, and to make it seem like, she bought this massive ring that Bob might not have approved of or might not have been willing to spend the money on, and was sort of pressuring him to marry her in front of all these people, tried to give Bob a good excuse for saying no, and he does. He's unwilling to let go of the buddy games, feeling like it brought meaning to his life, and he tells Tiffany that he can't be the man that Tiffany expects him to be, and rejects her. Tiffany is understandably mad and pissed off, and she yells at Bob for wasting the last 5 years of her life, and she just starts laying the smack down on Bob. Doc and Zane come to his aid, but they also get their asses handed to them. And Bob's choice of choosing the buddy games over his long-term girlfriend is a pretty interesting decision. He's essentially picking balls on his forehead compared to a stable and loving relationship. We then skip ahead in time, and Durf gets the role in the TV series. We then also have Zane admitting to Doc that he's gay, and after like a million gay innuendos throughout the film, you know, like him swallowing corn dogs, or noticing women's purses and stuff like that, and it just felt like such a cheap gimmick to just include this character just for this sole purpose. And at the very end, as a gift from Bender to Shelley, as a real peace offering now. Like, this is the real one now. Bender gets Shelley a whole bunch of different fake testicles. Yeah, I don't know how it could get any stupider. Yeah, so my thoughts on Buddy Games is that it's just plain and simply a shit movie. It just chucks shit joke after shit joke at the screen, and it just hopes that the viewers are so stupid and boneheaded and as idiotic as the characters that the jokes are funny to them. Honestly, nothing about this movie is funny. It's completely tone deaf, and if anything, it's just disgusting and sad. But you know what? I'm sure these guys had a real fun time making this movie, but unfortunately, I didn't have a great time watching this movie, and this movie is definitely going down as one of the worst movies of 2020. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please go ahead and hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to Cloudy TV for more content from me. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of Buddy Games. Did you think it was as stupid as me, or did you actually like it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, don't forget to check out some of my other videos down below. As always, thank you guys again for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.